So this necklace, this chain was my husband's. This is a cartouche from Egypt. So I wear this because it makes me feel like he's with us. He always would sign all his cards, "Love always, Donna." I borrowed that signature, and then I had 3 hearts here. This is one for each one of my daughters, and then a star for my husband. And then I designed it so that when my sleeves are down and I'm writing or something, I can always see the star. And people ask me about it, and it gives me a chance to talk about him. My name is Annique London, and I'm 54. I am a full-time student and a full-time mom. It was our first professional family photo in a while. This was about 2 weeks before he was diagnosed with cancer. Donna and I met in Kansas City in the late 1990s. He was very, very smart. He was very, very kind, very calm. Everyone loved him. We like to do the same kind of thing. One time we were out to dinner when we were dating, and we said, let's go on a vacation together. Well, most people might say, yeah, let's go to Florida, but we were like, let's go to Egypt. And so I think when you take a trip like that with somebody outside of the country, and it goes awesome and you really get along, I think after that we knew. He had a blood cancer called acute lymphoblastic lymphoma. He had a cancer that was both aggressive and rare. Sitting in that room waiting for that oncologist to come in for the very first time, I have never been more sick to my stomach in my life. We felt a little bit hopeful when we left that first appointment. He said that there are treatments for this type of cancer, and about 60% of the people survive. My husband was ready to fight because he was 46 years old. He had 3 young children at home. He was willing to go through just about anything to try to survive. Chemotherapy is the devil. The treatments that people have to go through are terrible. I think that was probably the scariest thing I was worried about with him, is that he was going to look like a cancer patient, and he eventually did. He was a very slender person, and he lost weight, so he got pretty skinny. It was very disturbing. At the end of it, then he went for scans to see if the cancer was still in his body, and the cancer was completely gone. They had completely eradicated the cancer from his system, but you really don't ever go back to normal when somebody's had cancer, because you always know there's a chance of it coming back. And and it did. What we knew about it is that the chances of recovering from it the second time were much, much lower. Then between December 2017 and March 2018, he got sicker and sicker and sicker, and the drugs were not working. He spent his last birthday in the hospital. He wanted to die at home. He went upstairs the last time in his life on Friday night. He never came out of our bedroom, and on Monday morning he passed away. The evening before he died, we had a hospice nurse come. She gave us the gift of being able to say goodbye to my husband, and gave the kids the gift of being able to say goodbye, because she recognized as an expert that he was in his final hours. When my husband died, I made a decision that I didn't want them to sacrifice their childhood because he died. I didn't want them to not experience anything they would have had he been living. Some would call me crazy. We signed up for all the travel and club athletics, and I wanted them to have a happy, good childhood that would be like any childhood, even though their dad had died. I want them to have a happy life, I guess. My oldest daughter, Anya, is 20. She is a junior in college, and she's actually studying nursing. That was a huge, huge surprise to me. The cancer part of our life, that 18 months leading up to that, even though it was horrible, 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 we were cared for at such an incredibly beautiful level that it changed our lives. We touched every single level of the healthcare system. The one constant of all that is nurses are always around you. They're always around you. She got to see the healthcare world, and so she decided, yeah, I think I'm going to pursue becoming a nurse. And so we did all of her college search with that goal in mind. When I went through that process with my oldest daughter, and I started to realize that, maybe I could do this too. But there was some pretty big barriers in the way for me. I was like, oh my gosh, how will I ever do this? I don't know if I can. And I didn't know if I could. Someone sat me down and I said, you know, when I graduate this program, I'm going to be almost 56 years old when I'm becoming a nurse. Is that too old? And this person said, well, you can be 56 and be a nurse, or you can be 56 and not be a nurse. What do you want to do? I sat in this lobby and took the very first phone call of the very first acceptance that I got from nursing school. So every time I go through here to study, I always think of it. It was such an incredible moment, that all this hard work that I had done, and I knew I had a spot. I got accepted. There's a coffee shop over there called Rustica, and I study there a lot. One day I was studying there, and I realized I was overlooking the hospital, and I could actually see the room where he was admitted. And, you know, it was just a moment, because here I was doing all of this nursing, and yet there I was looking at the hospital, looking at the room, looking at my nursing coursework. So it's kind of special to me to be able to see that and just kind of remember, you know, the worst possible thing happened to us, but we're taking something really bad and making the best that we can out of it. And that's, hopefully I can share my experience, my perspective, the empathy that I have for people going through very, very hard times. Kneel down next to a patient and listen to them and be present to them and allow them to be seen and heard when they're going through something. That is also a huge, important job of being a nurse. And I understand what it feels like to be on the other side. The other day I was getting in the elevator and I almost hit 8 instead of 6, because, you know, the elevator is exactly the same. Like, everything there is exactly the same as it was when I was there as a visitor. And now I have a badge. I think one of my favorite quotes that I have seen is that you haven't met all the people that are going to love you yet. And that's what keeps me going. You know, I've had the worst thing happen in my life, and now I'm creating this new life, and there's all this love that can be in the future. And so I'm just looking forward to it.